Hey, it's Brian, and today I wanted to talk about a responsive web layout. So, one thing you might have heard or read on our website in the past few months is that we've been working on a responsive layout. And that has to do with the theme that we're using for our WordPress based website. And this is the second time I've been involved in the beta group with them on working on their new themes and new versions, and thankfully had some input regarding how important it is for a theme to be responsive. And maybe at this point you're thinking, I don't know what he's talking about and I don't care. So let me show you real quick. So this is the website, and although it's still in the beta version, it's pretty functional and it's live, so you can go to my website and see all of this. But it's admittedly still getting a bunch of new features on the daily. So in the next few weeks, in the next couple of months, there's going to be a lot more feature additions being made. But for now, it's there and it's working, and the responsiveness is great. So let me show you really quick a little bit about how that works. So let me start with the basics of responsiveness. So if you look at the website here, I'm going to start resizing it from the right side. And actually, let me pick a different page first. Let me pick this blog page. So I'll bring up my blog, and you can see these are all the blog entries. I do things a little bit differently on my website than a lot of other people, but this is how I lay it out. So I'm going to start resizing, and I'm going to resize a little bit. And instead of chopping off that, you're going to notice it just reordered and replaced everything. So if this site were non-responsive, it would have just chopped it off right there, and you would have had to scroll over to see the content. So I'm going to resize it a little bit more. There it goes again. I'm going to resize it a little bit more. And you'll notice that the menu at the same time, there's less and less space for the menu. So I'm going to shrink it a little bit more. And now you'll notice that it got rid of the menu, but it gave you what's called the little hamburger. Or hamburger. I call it little hamburger. So the little hamburger's up there, and that's just a general sign that people understand to mean menu. And they call it hamburger because it's shaped like, I guess, two patties and a burger. Yeah. And so that gives you access to the different menu items. And close that out. So why is this a big deal? Well, the main reason this is a big deal is because of smartphones. And most photographers would tell you that they would love for you to visit their websites on a desktop or a laptop. The reason being that for photographers, it's all about the images, and they want you to see the images big so you can get the full impact. Let me go to the home page here and just give you an example. So on most photographers' home pages, they'll have big images like this. And now with this responsive theme, these images are I won't say full res, but full res would be too large for most web browsers. But they're very high res compared to what you might be used to. And there it goes, resizing again automatically on the fly, which is great. But so most photographers would rather you view their websites on a desktop or laptop. But we can't control that. We can't force what people do. And we know that more people are viewing, if they're looking for a photographer, they're looking on a smartphone. So that being the case, if that's the way it's going to be, then for better or worse, we've just got to adapt and deal with it and move on. So having a responsive website that will give you this in a good format without being all chopped up and scroll bars and messed up all over the place, that's really important because the smartphones aren't going away. And as much as we'd like people to view stuff, at least on a tablet size, if not larger, you just can't control that. So responsiveness is really important. One of the next things you're going to be seeing with responsiveness in terms of our website is that it's one thing for, let me go to the main blog again. It's one thing to be able to automatically resize and shift things around. But another key thing is going to be hiding certain elements. So there's going to be certain things that we can add in blocks on the website and then hide them if the resolution gets to be too small. So for example, there might be extra information, extra blocks of images, extra links, extra goodies that you get if you're on a full resolution device versus if you're on a small resolution device like a smartphone, you're going to get the bare minimum of what you need, you know? So let me give you an example here. Let me shift back to the home page. And on the home page, you're going to see that what I've configured is a footer with some blocks of information. Now let me bring it out. Now this is the way I like it to be shown. There's 3 blocks of information on the bottom here. And I'll probably eventually add some graphics in there too. But if you shrink this down, and yes, it's responsive, and that's great. It made it so it all fits and there's no horizontal scrolling. You know what? If in a mobile environment, I'd rather skip this, or at least most of it. So that's another thing you'll see coming with responsive is that eventually in the coming weeks and months there'll be the ability to just hide certain blocks so that based on the format you're viewing, you'll see different things. Let me give you another example. I'm going to go over to the blog, and I'm actually going to go into one of the blog entries. We'll do this one about Jack. So I'm in the blog entry, and you'll see that I include my Twitter feed on the right-hand side, which is great. It's a quick way to send a tweet out to me or read what's going on or follow or whatever you want to do. And it fits in with the concept of my blog, which is year by year, month by month, week by week, I'm getting more personal with the blog and more personal with my social media. And I want to get away from all this robot-sounding crap with that you see on most photographer websites. I don't want to just sit around and spew out the same old phrases that everyone else is doing and be politically correct and all this crap. So working my Twitter feed in here makes sense to me with this format. But if from a responsive standpoint, you'll see that this shrinks down and you still get the article, and it's smart enough to know, hey, we don't want them to scroll over to the right, so let's just drop the Twitter feed to the bottom. Well, in all honesty, and there's a little Facebook box down there, although I think Facebook's becoming less relevant by the day, and that's a whole nother topic. But I just as soon scrap this Twitter feed on the mobile device so that all you're seeing is the article. It's just a different view for a different device. So that's another example of where it's going to make more sense to actually alter what content's being presented, not just shift it around, but actually hiding it based on your device. So anyway, that's the layout, responsive layout that we've been talking about for so long. There's so many things coming in the next few weeks and months that I'm not going to be putting out a ton of videos about that. But I did want to cover this one because this one's really important. If you went to our website before and the theme that we used, their previous version of being mobile friendly, was that it basically took the same website and just added a bunch of chunky navigation buttons at the bottom. And they called it mobile. And so I'm really glad that the emphasis from them now is number one on being responsive. That's their number one goal right now. So that's really great. Um, but all that are bells and whistles. I'll talk a little bit more. Maybe do a few videos, but not a bunch of them as things change. But I just wanted to kind of go over this because it is important, and I hope that everybody appreciates all the work that companies like the one I'm using do in their theme development, as well as all the beta testers and designers and people who work on this day in, day out. It looks so easy and simple when you see it, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes to make things like this work. Um, all sorts of little bells and whistles and plugins and server settings and everything else. So um, yeah, it all comes together and it's really nice. So I'm really excited about this. I was not happy with at all with the old mobile layout, and in truthfulness, I was probably days or weeks away from switching themes entirely, just out of frustration with the responsiveness. So this to me is a huge jump in usability if you're viewing this on a mobile device, and so I hope that everybody appreciates it, and I'm going to head on out because I'm going to record a video on a completely different topic right now, and I'll talk to y'all later. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it.